All right, so the landlord checking in one time here. I have my friend here, Whitney. I saw her walking in the hallway yesterday with her little portable X-ray machine. I ran behind her. I was doing about 100 miles an hour. I slid up on her and I said, "Hey, Whitney, would you like to do an interview with me on what your position is and what it is that you do?" She was very apprehensive at first. She was looking at me like I was crazy, and then she finally agreed. So here we are here today. So what exactly is your job description?
So we are technically radiographers or technologists. We are not technicians.
So what's the difference?
Technicians are more your certificate holders. We hold degrees.
You have a degree?
Yes.
What is your degree in?
So it depends on where you go to school. For myself and most of my coworkers, our degree is in applied science. But once you have your associates, if you get a bachelor's, it can be pretty much in anything.
So you have an associate's in applied science.
Correct.
And then how did you get from there to the radiology department of it?
So once you're done with your radiography program, that is the degree that you get in applied science.
Oh, that's the associate's. So apply AS in radiology.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So from there, what jobs can you hold?
So within the radiology department, there's different branches. So there's X-ray, ultrasound, CAT scan, MRI, nuclear medicine, and you can go to the cath lab or interventional also. All right. For most of them, you have to have your X-ray license first, and then you can cross-train. The only one you don't need that for is ultrasound, where you can just do that program by itself, and that's it.
So you have an X-ray license.
Correct.
And you just do X-rays, or you decided not to go into the ultrasound, MRI, and all those other departments?
Correct.
If you wanted to cross over, how do you cross over?
So you can do one of two things. You can either, like if you're if your job has those other departments, if they're willing to train you on the job, you can do it that way and then sit for your boards for that modality. Or you can take another like 9 or 12-month course and then sit for your boards.
All right. So straight out of AS in radiography, you can just be an X-ray
Technologist, yeah.
Technologist, which means you can do only X-rays.
Correct.
Whether it be stationary like this one or a portable one.
Correct. But for like X-ray techs within a hospital, we don't just do X-rays here. We also do fluoroscopy.
And what is that?
That's pretty much drinking studies that require barium. Okay. So, yeah, pretty much that's it.
So if you want to do a swallow study, and if you want to evaluate whether or not the muscles in the throat are working, you have them drink the barium and you shoot the X-rays to see what the anatomy looks like in there?
So that specific test for the video function test, that's done by the speech therapist, but we and the radiologist are present for that because they aren't doctors, so the doctor has to evaluate and we have to work our equipment pretty much. But we do the upper GI, small bowels, barium enemas, yeah, stuff like that.
Would you say it's a challenging job?
It can be if you don't take your clinical seriously and you don't know what you want for yourself, because we also go to the OR. If you choose to work in a hospital, more than likely you do have to go to the OR. So if it's not something you're comfortable with, you need to decide whether this is the setting for you or you want to work outpatient or something like that.
Okay. So for anybody that's thinking, you know what, I don't want to get too involved with the blood, I just want to do X-rays, I can't deal with this, the poop and all this and that. I'll do the X-ray where maybe sometimes I go in the room, I may sit a little bit, but I'm not in there long enough to really have to dwell on it. Would you say that X-ray is something that can be obtained and kind of be on the outskirts of medicine without having to deal with like the nasty stuff?
Yes and no. So it goes back to what you want for yourself and where you want to work. So if you're going to work outpatient, more than likely, then yes, you won't have to deal with things like that.
Okay.
But if you're going to work within a setting like this, then it's not a case where you'll have to deal with the poop and that type of stuff, but accidents happen with patients.
Right.
You can either be that person who's empathetic and clean the patient before you send them back to their room, or you leave them like that and send them back upstairs.
Right.
Or with this hospital specifically, it's a trauma center. So when you go to a trauma, you don't have the choice of not looking at something hanging off. You have to do it.
So for the people that want to stay away from that, they can get this AS in radiography, and from there just only work outpatient, where it's less likely that they will be involved in all the nasty stuff. Is that an option?
Again, yes and no. Only because your clinical setting will be in a hospital.
But once you get past the
once you get past
the training and all that,
yes,
I can deal with it for whatever my clinical session, which is how long is my clinical time?
The entire time of the program, 2 years. Okay,
so for 2 years while I'm going through the program, I can just stomach this. But once I'm done, I don't want to see a hospital. I don't want to see blood. I don't want to see poop. I just want to work outpatient to where I'm only seeing patients that's for the most part intact.
Correct. And if you don't want to do with it at all, then again you can cross train to another modality. You can do mammo, CT. It's not really that much blood. MRI. Those don't deal with that type of stuff.
All right. So just a 2-year degree. Any prereqs for it, or just once I start my program fresh out of high school, can I just automatically go right into it, or do I need to take some classes first before I apply for an AS program? How does that work?
Yes. So you need prerequisites. They are specific to the program. So, but usually you would have to finish the prerequisites first, depending on your course load, is whether it's going to take you 3 years. Between 2 to 4 years to finish your prerequisites before you start the program.
2 to 3 years before you start the program?
Their prerequisites it's lengthy.
So
unless, of course, you came to college with classes that from high school that.
So say I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, which I do, and all of a sudden I want to come to the medical field, but I don't want to get too involved in all this stuff. What would it take for me to get into radiography?
So you definitely, depending on where you would look to go for schooling, have to go through what they require for entrance into the program. Because some of the classes have to be specific. Like, so it can't just be a generalized class.
So is it biology 1 and 2, anatomy, physiology 1 and 2?
Yeah. Physics, but I think when I was in school, I took a general physics class, but now I think that they have one specific to the program. Your math classes.
Which you would have gotten with your bachelor's in criminal justice.
Correct. So again, not everything won't be applicable, but like again, you'd have to go through the list to make sure everything is in order, if that makes sense.
All right. So you would say it's a rewarding career. Do you feel like I'm here, this is where I want to be, or I'm here, but it's not fulfilling, I need to do something else?
For myself personally, I am A-okay with my job. I actually love my job. I'm fine with it. For some people, they are not content in terms of they want to move across the board. They want to learn another modality. But for me personally, right now, I am fine with where I am.
One of the things I noticed, because I'd seen you maybe like a month ago, I meant to speak with you then. Do you have autonomy, or is there someone over you? Because a person like me, I need to just kind of do my own thing. I don't need someone on top of me and this and that. After having so many jobs, it appeared that this is a job where you kind of just do your own thing. As long as you keep up with, the amount of patients that you need to do your films for, you don't have anyone on top of you, just riding your back the whole time. Do you have that type of independence while you're working?
For the most part, yes. It definitely is one of those jobs or careers where teamwork does play a part, because again, sometimes the patient's going to be 300 and 400 pounds. I'm only 150, so I'm going to need help moving that patient. If you can't get help, then you can't get it done.
Right.
But for the most part, no, you come in, you get your paperwork, you do your patients, and you're done. We do have a supervisor where, like, if there is a problem, you can reach out to them.
Right.
But for the most part, especially on weekends, like, they're not even here.
Right. So you just have a pager. So if I put in for a portable X-ray right now, do you just get a page saying room 215, you need to go there and do a check?
So the printer prints out the order, then we just look up to see where the patient is, and then we just get it done.
Oh, wow. All right, cool. I think that pretty much wraps up the questions. I think that would give anyone a clear picture of exactly what the job entails if they were thinking about going into radiography. My goal here is to just interview more people in the medical field doing different things, because when I was younger, God told me to get into the medical field, and I was like, I don't want to deal with the blood. Had I paid some attention or just even looked into it, I would have found there's about 1,000 different jobs in medical field that you can do that has nothing to do with hands-on with the patient, you know. So this is my goal, to expose to the medical field and see all the different fields, and hopefully motivate somebody to get into it, because I do think medicine is one of those careers that has a lot of longevity. Even throughout COVID, we were still working. And a lot of people were unfortunate in losing jobs. We were still in here banging it out. So I think no matter what happens, people are going to always get sick, and you're going to always need these basic care. So I think in the medical field, you should be safe. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
And you guys had more work during COVID, right?
Yes.
Because it had a lot of x-rays that keep on scanning them, keep on scanning them.
Correct.
So that had to be really taxing on you guys.
It was.
So in that case, we would have needed more people in the field of radiography. That would have helped you out a lot, right?
Yes, we needed the manpower, but you know, political side of things, like they had to cut hours, but for the most part, then yeah, we did need the manpower for our workload.
So before we end it, what would you have to say to someone thinking about getting in the medical field and they heard about radiography? What would you tell that person? If they know nothing about it, I just want to get in the medical field, what would you tell that person?
Do your research. The way I knew it was for me, I volunteered before I started school for it. So within my few weeks of volunteering in like a radiology department, I knew like I liked it, and by the time I was done, I loved it.
Oh wow!
So
basically, just do your research.
Yeah, do your research. If you're not sure, ask questions. And I mean, everyone has a local hospital. They're always looking for volunteers. Just ask.
So if I know somebody right now that wanted to volunteer here, because once these videos start flowing, if they say, hey, landlord, how do I get in touch with Ms. Whitney? Can I shadow her? Is that an option or no?
I don't think it quite works like that. A lot of that stuff though does go through like human resources of each entity, if you want to say that. So I would more say that's the way to go about getting into that side of things, if that makes sense.
All right, Ms. Whitney, thank you for taking the time out doing this interview with me and shedding some light on the field of radiography. Until next time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.